Nagaland newspaper Morung Express pra katam utaigina media ethics and responsibility in a changing landscape laga topic de kuthakan kurise. Itu kutha kuriado Lighthouse Church Dimapore loise aro Nagaland media houses laga alag members kan ahina hisa loise. Itu reporter bora ahibi details so.
See the double-edged sword of digital media. So now we're living in the digital media age, and I'm part of a channel on YouTube, Nagaland News Network, and we are sort of giving a promise to the viewers, to the public, that we are giving real-time reporting. As soon as it happens, we're giving real-time. Of course, newspapers, it's going to be tomorrow. I'll just give an example from yesterday's incident where two factional groups, underground groups, there was I'm sure you've seen it, watched it as well, about the fake currency racket. Now, we did the report the whole afternoon, the whole evening, and we had finished for the day. I had reached home and I was ready to just retire for the day. Then you get a call around 9 p.m. That there's been a new development, a new update. Now, for me and this other channel, we were thinking, we can do this tomorrow, so we are going to give the update anyway. But then again, it's more also of a race, because there were two newspapers that were also doing the story, and they were going to come out with the report in the morning. So before we do that, so it's a race again. It's a competition of sorts, but it should be healthy. But then again, we are there. We have a very big responsibility. So this is just an example. Just last night, we didn't want to do it today because the newspapers were going to come out with the report today, something like that. But at the end of the day, who are we doing it for? So it's for the public to know, to be aware that this is happening. This kind of things are happening around. And the lack of gatekeepers, it leads to the viral spread also. So we don't really have a check. I mean, how many media houses have actual editors, have actual, topmost editors-in-chief that have a background in these ethics also? It's so important that, the managers of such media houses, be it print or digital, we should also make sure that the heads of these media houses have an actual background, because then the staff, the employees, the reporters will just listen to something that is again unethical, and they would move along in that direction only. So that is a very important news. I was just going to say important news. I'm so used to saying news. So that's one of the most important points, is also to have, your, I would say, bosses or editors-in-chief to have actual background in this also. It really matters. So that is there. And another one I wanted to share was what our Longling and our sir has also said, that importance of verification. Now rumors, they're just, it's so easy to spread a rumor. It's just one send button, that's all it takes. And everybody is part of various WhatsApp groups, various your own communities WhatsApp groups, your own student WhatsApp groups. So it is so easy to spread. And now, how are we going to confirm this, that with multiple independent sources? I will just speak from experience. My day doesn't start as soon as I go to the field only. My day starts the moment I wake up. Then you see some sort of rumor that is on your WhatsApp group. It starts with multiple hundreds of calls, phone calls, to so many people, to various officials, to tribal bodies, organizations, just to confirm one very small piece of information you might have received. So, and it starts the moment one wakes up also, if you really want to pursue. That is how much it should take for you to verify one really small piece of information. It could be very big, it could be small. But, you know, sometimes this small information that you verify will have a very big positive change also. If without verifying, even though true or not, it is your duty to make sure you have verified this little information that you have received as well.
This is the right age or right time for everyone to really grasp what it means to be ethical and what it means to take responsibility, I believe. Thanks to Morung Express for inviting me as to be part of the panel discussion. And we're humans, we can't help but compare. Compared to our two co-panelists, they're well-experienced media personalities in Nagaland. Well, I started venturing into media just since about 3 years ago, and still I'm a baby when it comes to this field. But I believe I have a strong vision and passion in the media field. And I want to confess that I'm not from a media background. I did not study journalism or any sort of a mass communication course. But the passion came because I saw human suffering. And when I realized how to resolve this human suffering, I see dialogue and discussion as one of the strongest means to resolve this human suffering together. So that's how I started venturing into the field of media. And I would like to give you a context because I strongly believe in the power of context. When we don't have a context, anything that we see as truth are normally, we conceive it our perception is subject to misinterpretation. So for me, context is very important. Once upon a time, I would say it's not a fiction. In the 1980s, there were two reporters from the New York Times, Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl. They were in rural China in the 1980s, during the time when China imposed a very harsh one-child policy. While they were reporting from rural China, what they saw was a baby girl just thrown or just dumped on the roadside, by the roadside. And it really made me think how they responded to such incident, to such event. Imagine that happened in Nagaland. I can just imagine anyone just picking up the phone, recording the video and shouting everywhere, hey, there's a baby girl here. This is unethical, this is not right, this is not human. Whoever does this, whoever has done this should be punished immediately. And I could imagine the scene just spiraling out with no restraint. But you know what, these two reporters, what they did? After all, they were Pulitzer-winning reporters. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters. So what they did, they tried to understand the context. Why the babies were thrown on the roadside, by the roadside like this, with no compassion for a human baby. So what they did was they tried to understand the background of what is happening currently in China. When I was abroad doing my research, I had around 10 Chinese colleagues with me from China. And we played games, like name-calling games. And a quick name call, I would say. And then what happened was the leader called out, please step out if there is anyone among us who is just a single child in the family. And 90% of our Chinese colleagues just stepped out. That means in the 1980s and 1990s, the one-child policy in China was very, very harsh. So these two journalists, reporters from the New York Times, they also analyzed the situation and they reported accurately on what happened without any judgment or preconceived notion. They did not judge whoever has thrown the baby by the roadside. They looked at it from various angles, from the social environment that was around in the 1980s and the political situation that was around in the 1980s. And also, most importantly, they checked what was the policy, what is the policy in China then? And they found out that Chinese government has a very rigid and harsh one-child policy.
I want to frame the issue into some questions. As we all understand, the advent of technology has democratized how news are being presented or how contents are being given to the people. At the same time, this also raised a lot of ethical issues that the previous speaker has already stated before. So without going into the background, I just want to frame the issue into maybe around 4 or 3 sets of questions. The first one is, who am I? Who am I? That is, media as we are we looking at oneself and demanding transparency, or are we transparent as we demand transparency from others? That is a first important question. This is very important because, as we all know, today there are each day new news outlet and digital outlet is coming up in Nagaland, and it is same everywhere. Now, if we look at how those channel or news outlet operates, it's more like they mainly operate on social media as well as on YouTube channels, right? And if we go and search about who are the people behind those, I think there is no clear website. No clear website will be there, or they don't have. We don't know who is behind the stories or outlets. And this is not restricted to just new digital media outlet. Even the established press media also suffers from this. If you look, many of you are students of mass communication, and you must have taken this in your classes. Is that, have you ever checked whether each newspaper in Nagaland has a clear philosophical objective, or about a section, or a section where they inform about who the editor is, or who are the people behind the news that is being produced each day. So before demanding ethics and ethical concern from others, first the media has to practice it. So the one question that is in this context to be asked is, if media demands transparency, should it not first practice it? Right? And as we all know, again, the digital media outlet that is coming up, we see that there's certain kind of visibility because reporters are reporting and they have to report on the face. This gives a sense of transparency. However, we don't know who are the real decision makers. I'm very glad that my co-panelists today, when their outlet was launched, they had sent out press releases to others, and they had a full official launching program also, right? But many are coming up just like that. Each day we are coming across new channels, new TV channels, and so that is the first thing. Who am I? Who are we? The second question is, who are you? So following the first one, the second one is that who are you? That is how we practice our trade, how we practice our profession. Right? So this question pertains to how we treat other people, or how we treat the subjects that we are covering. For example, immigration is a big issue among us, right? And ILB, inner line permit, is a big issue. Now we have seen many a times we are seeing our reporters or journalists going into the market and sort of ambushing shopkeepers or people going on the sidewalk. without maintaining, instead of that, I feel, my opinion is that instead of being practicing this vigilante type of journalism, we should be asking why ILB or why the state agency are not implementing ILB very much. Right? So it is not, I feel that it is not a reporter's or journalist's duty to check whether somebody has ILB or not. Right? It is the duty of the concerned authority to do that. Ours is to highlight whether the state authorities or concerned authorities are implementing the rules and regulation effectively. So if we go into the field and challenging or questioning others on that whether you have a ILB or not or something other issue like that, instead of being accountable, we are making or soft targeting certain individuals or kind of acting to the communal fault lines and other issues.
When we look at the ethics and responsibilities, I'm sure these are words that you have heard commonly, about being impartial, about being just, about being independent, about being transparent, about being accountable. These are things that we hear in everyday life, and it's a reflection of how a society, a people should be and ought to be. But I think in the context of media, it's about professionalism. It's about being professional about it. And I think this is the challenge that we have. To me, I would say COVID was a turning point. The newspapers were not printing. They were still functioning and working. The PDF version was being circulated because information at that point of time was so important, critical for public awareness. And yet it was also the turning point of the media landscape within the Naga context. And out of that experience, rightly so, many news outlets emerge. And since then, there has been, if I may put it this way, a democratization of information and news. It has been democratized in the sense that now it's not just a few, but now it is many. But within that democratization of news and information, it has also led to a crisis of credibility. And the crisis of credibility stems from the question of ethics and responsibility. And I know that what we have shared this afternoon is we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to say, there's so much more to talk about. When I think of, I'm not a journalist. I don't have a background in mass communication. My field is completely, different, but we share similar values in terms of responsibility, in terms of independence, in terms of fairness, and so on and so forth. So my background is very different, but I've been associated with a media organization, a media house. And when I think of ethics and responsibilities, the image that comes to my mind is a tango, a dance. It's a tango between freedom and responsibility, the tango between freedom and limitation. And tango is very intimate, and in tango you have to improvise, and a tango is basically something that started with the working people. And so when I think of media ethics and responsibility, I think of the tango dance. It needs balance, it needs improvisation, and you have to care for each other. One partner has to care for the other, so we have to care for freedom as well as limitations. How we are able to balance that, I think happens twofold. One is the organizational professionalism. So every organization, every media house has its own sense of being professional, professional about it. And then we have those in the field. We call it the media practitioners. You talk about the professional journalists, you talk about the online creators, content creators, is there has to be some kind of ethics there as well. And sometimes, yes, there's a tension between, the professionalism of an organization and the professionalism of a practitioner, if I may say so. And it requires careful balance. And therefore, the broader aspect is so important. And then, of course, our friend from 24/7 talked about a body. For the newspapers, we are accountable to the Press Council of India. So if we do carry a news reportage or an article that violates the ethics and norms of the Press Council of India, you can take us, you can file a complaint, we will be called to answer. And they have the power to even recommend that our registration is removed from the Registrar of Newspapers of India. So as far as newspapers are concerned, there is a mechanism in place. Now, how that is exercised, I think, is a matter of perspective and a matter in which it is implemented as well.